Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV on my front porch on a very chilly November day, and we're continuing our look into Internet of Things devices, and we've got a smart lock today that came in through the Amazon Vine program. This is the Yale Assure lock, and the way it works is you put your palm on it like so, and then it will light up a control panel here, and I can type in a code number to unlock my front door if I wish. It also has the ability to work with Apple Homekit, and I'll talk about all the differences about this product in just a second, but I do want to mention, in the interest of full disclosure, that this did come in free of charge through the Amazon Vine program. However, all the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, and no one is reviewing this content before it is posted. So let's take a closer look now at the hardware. This is the exterior-facing portion of the lock. This is a full lock replacement, and there are no keys with this. So your options are to use a compatible mobile device with a home-based hub. This one supports HomeKit. There's another version that supports some other technologies. I'll go over all of that, including pricing, in a second. But basically, you just swap out your deadbolt lock with this, and it works without a key. Now, if the batteries happen to die, there is an option to power it with a 9-volt battery from outside. So on the bottom here, there are two prongs. You plug the 9-volt battery in. That will then power up the entire device, so you can unlock it with a PIN code or with your compatible mobile device. You'll never be locked out of your house, even though there is no key, provided you've got the 9-volt battery. So just make sure those batteries stay fully energized in order to easily get back into your house. I'm not all that crazy about this touchpad design, because you do have to kind of put your whole palm across it to get it to activate. When it does, it's pretty easy to use here. You type in your code and you're good to go. But the maximum size code is 8 digits, which is probably difficult to brute force when you're sitting next to it, but it's something that I would have liked to have seen a little more security around. We've looked at some other smart locks that use these really fancy digital keys that this one seems to be lacking. And when we get back in the studio, I'll show you kind of all of the other intricacies as to how this works. Now, on the other side, you have a standard deadbolt kind of control, so you can manually lock and unlock the door from the inside. There's also 4 AA batteries inside of this that power the device, and of course the radio that you use to communicate back with your mobile devices or your compatible home hubs. So let's go back in the studio now and see how all of this works. All right, so we're back down in the studio now, where it's a little bit warmer, and I wanted to go over the different configuration options on this product. Now, the one we're going to be reviewing today is the HomeKit version that works with Apple's HomeKit hub, but there are 2 other versions that work with Zigbee or Z-Wave. It doesn't work with all of them at once, so you have to pick your home hub technology, and that's what you're going to be stuck with. One of the issues that I found here with the HomeKit version is that there are some features that don't work with this one that will work with the other 2, namely the ability to issue digital keys out to people that you wish to have access to your home on a temporary basis. The HomeKit functionality here eliminates that feature, and therefore it has a little less functionality using the Apple ecosystem than it does with perhaps these other home hub technologies. Now, with the HomeKit version, there are 3 different ways you can access the lock. You can use the Yale Secure App here, which I'm going to show you. You can, of course, also use HomeKit, or you can administer it through the keypad itself, and it has a voice-guided control for doing that. Let's start off here with the Yale Secure App. This accesses the lock via Bluetooth, and what I can do here, of course, is lock and unlock the lock here. So if I go up to my 2-up view here and hit the unlock there, you'll see that the lock will unlock itself, and I can then, of course, hit the button here again to relock the door if I want to. So that's pretty handy. You can also go in on this app and adjust all of the PIN codes that you have assigned, but you can only make PIN codes on here, not delete them. So what it's going to do is connect with the lock, download all the PIN codes that it has stored in it, and then I can add an additional one to it if I wish here. So you can see right now I've got that 1, 2, 3, 4 we used earlier. I can go here and add an additional one if I want, but it's only a 4 to 8 digit character. The problem, though, is I can't delete the PIN code from the app, which is totally crazy to me. You have to go outside and go through its voice-guided thing to remove the code, and you also need to know which code you are removing. So it doesn't store the codes by position necessarily, it stores them by the code itself. So kind of crazy that you can put a PIN code in, but you can't take it out using the app. That was one of the big issues that I saw with it. Now, the app does have the ability to configure the lock in a few different ways. We're going to click on this gear icon here to pop into those settings here, and we have the option to auto relock here at the top. And what will happen here is that once the door is unlocked, I can have it set to re-lock itself after 30 seconds, and that is a way to prevent the door from ever being unlocked, and you don't have to worry about checking on it because it will just lock itself after 30 seconds there. One other thing of note here is the privacy button. There is a small button here on the lock. You can see it to the right of the device there. If you hold down that button when that feature is activated, what that will do is once you're inside the house, deactivate the keypad on the outside. So the Homekit function will still work, but you won't be able to get in with a passcode. So that might be one way to avoid some issues with people getting into the house after you have entered it. So that's what the privacy mode button does. Shutdown time is how long the unit will sleep for after somebody hits the wrong code limit here. So if somebody's outside your door trying to brute force their way in with a series of different key codes that they're trying, what'll happen is the unit will shut itself down for the duration that you specify here to prevent anyone from using it here. And you can adjust how long that shutdown time is. Maximum is 180 seconds, and right now it's set to shut down basically after 5 wrong attempts of a code. So it will take a long time to brute force your way in, at least using the keypad. But again, the Homekit functionality or whatever Home Hub technology you have paired with your device will work outside of that. So that's one way to avoid some of the low numbers they have for these PIN numbers getting in. Let's take a look now, though, at the Homekit functionality and some of the things you can do with it. Now, the Homekit app is built into your iPhone or iPad, and once you pair the lock up with it, you can control it along with other devices that are Homekit compatible, and I'll show you some ways to combine those in a second. Now, what I'm going to do here is pull up our 2-up view, and I'm just going to start with the simplest option here, which is to push down on this button here, and that will unlock the front door just like we did with the native app. But this is, again, running through Apple's system here, and then I can relock the door this way. Now, this requires the phone to be within range of the Bluetooth radio on the lock, but I'm finding the range on it is pretty good. But Apple does have a hub mode that you can put your iPad into or use an Apple TV where you can control the lock when you're not at home. So I turned that option on my iPad, and then when I was away from home, I was able to control the lock the same way I can inside the home. It's pretty seamless. There's no configuration beyond just that one thing, and you're good to go. Now, you can also issue voice commands to it, so I can say something like, "Hey Siri, lock the front door." And what will happen here is Siri will go out and lock the front door for us and let us know that it did that. And if I had that hub set up, of course, this would work the same way. I was also able to use my Apple Watch and issue commands through the watch, both home and away, to lock and unlock the door. And because I am set up here in Apple HomeKit, I can use devices from different manufacturers. So I have the August Smart Lock that we reviewed a couple of weeks ago down here in the studio. So I can unlock that one here with the same app. And I can even do stuff like have Siri lock down the entire house. So I can say, let me unlock the front door here again. And I can say to Siri, "Hey Siri, lock all of my doors." And what will happen here is it will then go out and lock not only the door down here in the studio, but the door upstairs that you just saw there. And if I go back to my main screen here, you can see that both of those doors are locked right now. So one of the nice things about a home hub is that you can integrate all of your different devices from different manufacturers, and Apple does have a pretty nice one here. Again, my biggest complaint with the Yale lock is that it doesn't work with more than one. So you have to pick out the one that you're going to be using the most and being kind of locked into that. That was one thing that I liked about the August Smart Lock that we looked at a couple of weeks ago, which was a bolt-on for an existing deadbolt, is that it worked with multiple home hubs. So I could use it with HomeKit on the Apple side, but I could also use it with Alexa and other products that are offering similar home hub technology. So I can control it based on the device that I want versus being locked in with one in particular, which is what's happening here. But there are some pretty cool automation things you can do with the HomeKit system once everything is integrated. So let's take a look at one example. So inside of the HomeKit app, we have an automation feature here, and I've already set up something so that when my front door locks, it's going to turn on a light that I have behind me now here when I lock the door. And again, you can do all sorts of stuff and have all different devices do different things together, but this one's probably the simplest example. So let's go back here to the home button, and what we're going to do is pull up my 2-up screen here. I'm going to ask Siri to lock the front door. Hey Siri, lock the front door. And what will happen now, of course, is Siri will do its thing. And when that door locks, that light behind me should, there we go, come on. And that's a way, for example, when you leave the house, you can have your lights go on after the door locks. You can even have things like making sure the door locks and the lights come on after you leave. It's got location-based functions too. So a lot of neat functionality that you can gain here from the Homekit app. You can also allow people in to use your Homekit system, but the problem is that they get access to everything. And again, that comes back to my biggest complaint about this product, is that I was able to invite my wife into this so her phone and her devices can control the locks in the house, but it also means she can now control all the locks in the house and all the lights in the house, and I can't restrict her access really in any way. Now, the overall hardware is very nice on this lock. It does have a higher quality feel than the August Smart Lock bolt-on we looked at, for example. They've been making locks for a long period of time that used keys, the real keys, and that know-how certainly came into this product. There are a couple of other colors available. It was very easy to install. In fact, me, not being much of a handy person, was able to get the lock installed on my front door in about 45 minutes or so, and I probably would have done a little better had I paid a little bit more attention to the instructions as I was putting everything together there. So by and large, a very simple product to install, quite attractive here on my door, and the smart functionality with Homekit really works quite well. My biggest gripe again is the fact that you can't use multiple home hubs with it, and I'm finding examples of certain products that I have in some rooms that I prefer over other types of products. So for example, in my kitchen, I have a Google Home. I really like the Google Home because it could answer my questions quite nicely about things that I'm thinking about, and unfortunately, it doesn't work with the Google Home because it only supports Homekit at the moment. So I would have liked to have had the ability to use it with multiple home hubs simultaneously. That's not the case here, and my biggest gripe is the fact that I am very restricted as to what I can do with guest access, and that's a feature that's available on the non-Homekit versions of the Yale locks, and I think that is really its biggest Achilles heel. I'd love to see a different radio module that supported multiple hubs, as well as that virtual key technology, so I'd have a few more options for it. But as a standard lock, if it's just for a single family home, I think it'll work quite nicely, and it is a very attractive product, especially for those of you running with the Apple HomeKit. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters, including gold level supporters, the Black Eyed and Blues Music Hour podcast, Chris Allegretta, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.